I'm Shiva.
I'm Sandy.
And this is
Our Relaxing Hobby. Hello.
Hi.
Today's episode is going to be something extremely fun. Fish lice, yeah.
Yeah, fish lice.
Not sure I really want to talk about fish lice, but they were really gross. And
but unfortunately, they're also very common.
Yeah, very common, very common. I've never had them, thank God, because it was, I was really freaked out. But now I've seen them, and now they're not hard to treat. They're not necessarily, it takes a long time to treat them.
It takes a long time to treat
and
them.
And of course, you know, the one fish tank that they got into was, Bonnie's,
yeah, our problem tank.
She has nothing but issues, this poor fish. She's going to live forever, but everybody else around. And Reid survived them, but they were there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that Reid survived them because they are generally not terminal. They're just annoying. They make the fish itchy. They
were really rubbing on the bottom a lot more than normal, trying to dislodge them.
Yeah, that's what kind of clued us in that we had a parasite problem.
And we'll show you some footage of that later, but
poor
nightmares.
Poor Bonnie's tank is the reason why we know so much about fish diseases and problems.
I'm sure this poor fish has had everything. But anyway, we're gonna talk about fish lice. So tell a little bit about, I wasn't really in on the treatment. I mean, I saw it and I filmed a little bit, but go ahead and tell us what we did, what you had to do to treat it, and what the procedure is.
Basically, what fish lice are is they're a parasite, and they seem to be more prone with carp, which is why it doesn't surprise me that out of that tank there are some hories in there, there's some pluckers in there, and then there's Bonney and Reid, who are both fantail goldfish. Doesn't surprise me at all that the goldfish were the only ones that were affected by them. They seem to be, really into carp. Anyway, how they come in, they could have come from anywhere. They could have come from plants. They could have come from the gravel. When I was
which was a good thing, I guess. The good thing about the plants is that she puts plants in all of her tanks. I put plants in mine. Nobody else caught it, thank gosh.
It's weird. There's a lot of ways that they can come in your ponds. You have to watch out for them in the ponds because they can even come in on bird feed if you have ducks and one goes dropping on.
Right.
There's a million ways how these little parasites can get into your tank or pond. You're not going to notice them immediately because they're microscopic. When they start out, they've got a 4-month life cycle.
Right.
Yay! And they start, they usually come in as eggs or young, young bugs.
Microscopic things you can't see.
And you don't see them until it's too late. By the time they're older juveniles to adulthood, then you start spotting them. But until then, you're wondering.
You definitely spot them. You'll see them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're wondering why your fish are so darn itchy.
Right.
And itchy fish can be a lot of different things, so you got to be careful. You don't want to do a whole massive treatment for everything when you don't know what you're dealing with. But if you've had fish lice before, then you kind of know what to look for.
Right.
Anyway, as they get older, they attach. The juveniles can't attach to fish, so a lot of the times they're not even on your fish. They're in the water, but they're not on your fish. When they start attaching to your fish, that's when you start getting the itchy, jumpy behavior, and then you start being able to see them as they get a little bit bigger. They act just like regular ticks do they act like ticks.
Yeah, they didn't really attach to the sides too much, but they're mostly on the tails.
Yeah,
that I saw. There were a couple on the sides.
They like the fins and things like that.
Yeah.
But they act like ticks, and when they clamp on, they kind of release this type of chemical that kind of dulls it and just makes it easier for them to feed on the fish, kind of like how ticks do on humans.
Or any animal.
Or any animal for that matter.
Yeah.
So they're bothersome, but they're not necessarily lethal to a fish unless the fish is covered with them. We had a decent outbreak, but not, it didn't look like something out of a sci-fi movie where there were thousands of ticks on these, or lice on these fish. It was maybe a dozen or two that we spotted, and we're talking long, flowy fins, so there was lots of area for them to attach onto.
Right.
Anyway, so when we started noticing these on Bonney and Reid, it was gross. It really was. It was very creepy.
Yeah, I'm not really a bug person, so even bugs in the water, I wasn't really pleased. But I can deal with them. I just don't like them.
Oh, you didn't even want to look at them. When
I didn't want to look at them because I
was.
was going to have nightmares. I have nightmares about ticks because I had so many of them on me in the military. At one point I had over 100 of them on me when we were on the field once, so I'm really not a tick fan. So just the thought of it was pretty gross, and I felt bad for them, and I'm like, let's go pick them off. You know?
Yeah. Now,
But,
there is a way to manually pick them off fish, but it's a pain in the butt. It really is, and that involves getting the fish out of the water, using the anesthetic, which is usually oil of clove, which I haven't used oil of clove yet because I'm nervous about overdosing.
Knock on
them.
wood. That'll be next.
Eventually, I know I'm going to have to, and I'll probably, do some practice on like some, small goldfish or something to practice it.
Just in case.
Well, eventually.
In this house?
Yeah. Eventually, yeah. That's what we need is zombie fish.
In this house.
But
not even a thing.
Yeah, but eventually,
Yeah.
eventually, I am going to learn how to properly use oil of clove. Because
That
eventually,
should might be
we're
an
going to have
episode we
to.
can actually learn, find somebody that actually has
Yeah.
done that, and we can maybe go watch it. Okay, but anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, you're not wrong.
Okay.
But-
So anyway,
but
we didn't pick them up.
Yeah, but what people do is they take tweezers and pick them up. Now, with like Bonnie, I could probably just have handled her.
Yeah, she probably would have just let
She
you.
probably would have just let me, but Reid no way. So there was no taking tweezers to these fish. So we had to go with the chemical medication way, which is usually the best way anyway, because there's no way I would have been able to kill the life cycle just by picking the.
Right, you can pick them off, but they're still in there.
Yeah,
Right.
they're still in there. So what we ended up doing was having Gareth use a medicine specifically for parasites. There are a ton of different brands out there that you can use. I think he used API's version, but there's a ton of different ones you can use. You just go to your local aquarium store, tell them what you've got, they will set you up with some parasite remover.
Okay, going ahead and dosing them with their medication for the fish lice. We are using 2 capsules of Pro. Basically the step is, both of them, this one is 10 milliliters per 50 gallons, and this is 5 milliliters per 50 gallons. Yes. Discovered this stuff originally when we had an issue with anchor worms.
Oh.
And nice stuff about this is, unlike a lot of parasite treatments, it will not wreck your biofilter.
Oh. So we were trying to remember, how much crap has Bonnie's tank gone through over the last, 4-some years?
A lot.
Do you remember everything?
No. Between parasite infections, fungal infections, various bouts of dropsy. One more thing that I'm going to do, and I don't know if she was going to get it on camera, I'm also going to give them a little bit of salt. How much of a water change did you do on them earlier?
My usual. So I'd say I got it down to about where the tag is.
Okay, so you did about 3/4 change?
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, another thing that I'm doing for the treatment on them is I am adding salt. Now what this is just basic pool salt. You don't want to use like table salt or anything like that.
So either
But-
aquarium salt or pool salt.
Right. I recommend pool salt, especially it's a lot cheaper in bulk, and it's also much finer and dissolves a lot faster in your aquarium.
Okay.
But I'm doing this at about 2 grams per gallon about 2 grams per gallon of water. And one thing that is important if you are doing a long-running salt treatment on your fish, that you measure how big your water changes are, because the only thing that removes the salt is changing the water out. So in this case, what I did was, yes, I've actually measured the height here. I already know how deep and how long the aquarium is, but measure the height of the water line, and from there just went ahead and subtracted. She would let me know that the water change she did while it was work was down to there, so about a 3/4 change. So what I just added was actually about 1.5 grams per gallon of water.
Okay. And what will the salt do?
Oh, with fish lice, they're actually very salt resistant. But what it will do is it will help to simulate the slime coats on the fish, so that any juvenile lice that once they get to the point where they've molted enough to have their suckers, they won't be able to latch on as easily.
Okay.
And salt is also my favorite treatment for ick, because while it won't attack the white spots directly, when they fall off and break into their larval stage, it will kill them then.
Very cool. How I have to treat, and I've been doing this for over a month now, and it's 3 more months to go, is I have to start by once a week draining her aquarium down to the bare minimum.
Which does not make Bonnie happy.
It does not. Afterwards, it's filling it with fresh water.
Which Bonnie likes.
Yes, Bonnie likes the fresh water. She
does like bubbles.
She does. She loves the hose bubbles.
Yeah.
And then we put in the medication, and then we do it again the following week and the following week, and we're going to be doing this for the next.
And one of the other things I think that you mentioned to me is that you have to, everything you use in the tank has to be separate from everybody else's.
Yes.
All the things, everything.
Yeah, basically any sponges I use in her tank, any toys, any plants, anything has to be completely separate from the other tanks. We can't have cross-contamination, because even though the lice seem to be particularly fond of carp, I'm not taking any chances with drumfish, and I do have an indoor koi pond that also gets, maintenance, and I
Something as simple as using a net.
Right.
You have to be careful that the net doesn't even go in the water.
Yeah, basically anything that goes into her tank, whether it's a net or a sponge or anything like that, if it's something that's not disposable by net, it gets dried out in the sunlight and it stays out there for a week. The lice cannot survive that. Hopefully, no, they can't. But any gravel I remove, it has to be dried out completely, if not discarded. Any plants that I have to take out of there get discarded. The sponge I use, I actually have these cups where I have color-coded sponges for each one of the aquariums.
Right.
So I know which.
Sure.
Yeah, you can get those at like a general store. You can get the scrubby sponges in different colors. I would suggest if you have multiple tanks, it's a good practice anyway.
Or just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case you have something wrong with the tank, you quarantine your tank.
Sponges. So basically, after about 4 months, we'll be, keeping an eye on her. It should be okay by then. I've been very careful about everything, but we also always keep things on hand, like parasite medication, aquarium salt. We keep these things on hand all the time.
It'll be interesting to see what Bonney and Reid catch next, but hey, those poor fish, I swear, they have the worst luck.
We should have a
things.
betting pool.
Yeah. We do a betting pool on what these crazy fish will catch next.
I mean, kind of like the cabin in the woods where they have the little pool where it's like all the different monsters that could attack the humans. We should just have all these different fish diseases, and y'all can bet on what that tank's going to get next.
It's terrible. It's so strange. Not one other tank has anything, but those two have had 5, 6 different things wrong with them.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
And you can't really technically be on fish lice. You can't blame the fact that they're the ornamental
Well, we
goldfish.
can on some of them.
But this one you can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
this we can.
This we can't, yeah.
Some we can, like Reid, it has a lot to do. A lot of Reid's problems had to do with collard readiness.
Yeah. But anyway, fish lice is an interesting thing. Not pleasant to look at once they become mature. I mean, up until then it's not a big deal because you can't really see them, but the mature ones are kind of gross.
Oh, well, it gets bad too, because when you'll see this on our B-roll too, when they start detaching, you start seeing these things swimming around in the water
Or floating.
What I did was I took a fine mesh net, netted them, got them the hell out of the water, and blasted them to come with my hose outside. I did this simply because they look awful.
They're ugly.
And I didn't want the fish eating them either, because goldfish.
Yeah, goldfish will
eat things.
Eat everything.
And anything that fit in their
With
mouth.
your luck with them, they
end up with internal
parasites of some kind that aren't even fish lice.
Right. So I immediately, as soon as I started seeing them detach and swimming around, I would net the suckers out and get them out of the tank. It's a process. I was doing it like on the height of it, when most of them were starting to come off. I was doing it like 3 or 4 times a day for that. But that only lasted for about 4 days.
Yeah.
4 days of getting all these ones that had detached out of there.
As many as you could, yeah.
Oh, I got pretty damn
Yeah,
near
a lot
all
of,
them.
yeah, I know, I remember. Yeah.
And now the tank, you know, I haven't seen any swimming around in there, but I do know that we probably have eggs that are, you know.
Yeah, you gotta wait. Still
So-
keep treating, you know,
gotta
it's
keep
not fun,
treating
but
until we
it's
basically
it's a thing.
The medication will not kill the eggs, but it will kill the hatchlings. So basically, we're waiting.
yeah, you have to wait. 4-month life cycle, you don't know exactly when they're gonna hatch out, and they may hatch out in different levels, and
You know.
so you gotta keep treating it, you know, and be patient.
Yeah. So it's a pain, but it's not terminal to your fish usually. There have been some cases, and I think it has to do with when they get too close to gills and stuff like that. It could, you know,
Maybe overtake the
disrupt
gills.
them. Or if it's such a heavy outbreak that it's like completely covering the fish, that might do it too.
Yeah, maybe if you
Or
didn't treat it or
stressing them
something,
out.
yeah.
Stressing the fish out is the big one. But generally, it's not terminal. It's just a real pain in the ass to treat. But it is treatable. It's not as expensive to treat as other problems. So yay.
But it is a gross problem.
Yeah, it is horrible to look at and creepy.
Yeah.
But it is also common.
Yeah.
I mean, it can come in from plants from a pet store, it can come in from, you know, other fish. That
Could've gotten anywhere,
you could have
yeah.
quarantined your fish like you're supposed to for at least 2 weeks or 4 weeks
Oh,
or however long.
yeah.
And you might still
4-month life cycle.
yeah, and you might
So-
still end up having the fish come in with it and not know it until it's too
We
late.
did get some footage of it, so we'll be able to show you that. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. Hopefully you never catch it, or your fish never catch it, and we hope for you.
Yes, we'll
But
cross
you
our
know,
fingers because it is.
you don't have Bonnie, but if you want her, you can have her.
Yeah, now, what are indestructible fiantel.
Yeah.
But to put things into perspective, keep in mind that we've been keeping carp for almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
And this is our first time dealing with it.
Right.
So while it's common, as long as you're careful.
Yeah, make sure you rinse your plants off and do basic.
Yeah, as long as you're careful with your basic routines when it comes to taking care of these fish, you might get lucky. We got really lucky. This is our first time dealing with it after 5 years. You might get even luckier than us.
Yeah.
And we're usually super careful, so.
It happens. But anyway, okay, well, let's go show them some footage of the grossness.
Oh, no, we've been showing it while we're talking.
Oh, you've been,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. You and your
So,
editing.
Yeah.
That's my next job, I'm gonna learn how to edit too.
Yeah, we're gonna teach her how to
That'll be
edit.
fun. Sandy with an
anyway.
editing machine.
But anyway, that's our episode, and we hope you enjoy. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe button.
Yep.
And
Like,
that way,
subscribe,
yeah, like, that way you can see
share.
Yeah, that way you can see what other episodes, because we got some really fun episodes coming up here soon. And then we also have our Patreon page. If you really, really like us and you want to support our show, and you can go there. We've got some fun perks for our patrons, including like t-shirts and mugs and
Killing people symbolically through watermelon.
yeah, killing people symbolically through watermelons.
You vicious person, you. Adopt a koi, sweetness.
Yeah. So, now that you've seen our dark side, my dark side, she's the angel. We hope you stick around and enjoy the show. Look forward to future episodes. You're gonna love some of the things we got to show you coming up here soon.
Yep.
We have a full episode every 2 weeks. Our little fish bites in between once in a while. So
And enjoy.
enjoy.